Shedeur Sanders didn't just step onto the field. He stepped into a power vacuum. This wasn't just another hotshot quarterback chasing Heismans and draft picks. No, Shedeur came into the game with a blueprint. And not the typical get drafted, land a shoe deal, maybe start a foundation in a few years kind of plan. He came in wielding ownership papers, negotiating like a boardroom shark, and flipping the entire sports business model on its head, all before taking a single professional snap. When news broke of his $250 million jersey deal, jaws dropped. Not because of the number alone, though yeah, that's generational money.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
But because of what it represented, this wasn't a Nike-style endorsement. It wasn't a handshake with some sportswear conglomerate. Shedeur had secured an equity stake in his merchandise, his likeness, his content. Translation? He didn't just sign a deal. He owned the deal. That right there? That's the nightmare scenario the NFL never saw coming. Because this league, this multi-billion-dollar behemoth of legacy, tradition, and tightly controlled image rights, has always been structured to keep the power firmly in the hands of team owners, broadcasters, and brand partners. Players were essential, sure, but expendable, swappable. Even the biggest stars were still cogs in the machine. Shedeur? He threw a wrench into that system so fast, you could hear the league's marketing department short-circuiting. $250 million. $250 million tied not to a team or a league or a licensing entity, but to him, his name, his story, his hustle, his brand. And just like that, the balance of power shifted. The NFL is used to players being valuable, not valuable on their own terms. And now it's in full-blown panic mode, trying to figure out what this means. Because if Shedeur can pull this off, what's stopping every elite prospect from doing the same? What happens when the draft class of 2026 is full of 20-year-old CEOs instead of wide-eyed rookies, just grateful for a shot? What happens when the league loses control of the one thing it's always been able to own, the narrative? This is more than a flashy deal. It's the start of a revolution. And if you think the league hasn't noticed, think again. There's no way the NFL didn't hear the alarms blaring the moment this deal hit the media cycle. Think about it, a player still in college, pulling a business move that challenges the entire ecosystem of how professional sports operate. That's not normal. That's not safe. That's disruptive. Shedeur didn't wait for a seat at the table. He built his own, put his name on the chairs, and leased the dining room. And now everyone's watching. Let's talk logistics. This deal isn't just about jerseys. That's just the packaging. What's inside is full control over his merchandise, over digital content tied to his brand, over how he's marketed and how he profits from that image. His YouTube channel? Monetized. His Instagram and TikTok? Strategically leveraged. His game highlights, workouts, interviews, even the pre-game tunnel walk, all part of a controlled ecosystem where he gets paid directly. That's the move. That's the flex. And this kind of control used to be a fantasy for players. For years, athletes were told, play your role. Let the league handle the business. They were funneled into deals where the league profited off their likeness, while they got crumbs from the licensing table. But Shedeur flipped the table entirely. He took the same tools that influencers and entrepreneurs have been using, e-commerce, digital storytelling, brand equity, and merged them with the most watched sport in America. Suddenly, football isn't just about stats. It's about strategy, not on the field, but in the boardroom. And the players? They're catching on. There's a whole wave of young athletes looking at Shedeur's model and thinking, why can't I do that too? They're hiring branding consultants before agents. They're launching online stores, building fan bases, trademarking nicknames. Some of these kids are still in high school, and they got better merch rollouts than pro teams. This is the Shedeur effect, and it's spreading fast. Meanwhile, the NFL is quietly freaking out. You know, behind the scenes, there are meetings. Legal teams drafting tighter clauses. PR people scrambling to spin this as a unique case so the floodgates don't burst wide open. They'll probably try to write it off as, well, His dad is Deion Sanders, he's the exception. But he's not the exception. He's the prototype. Because the thing about Shedeur is, he didn't just inherit Deion's charisma. He inherited the playbook. The understanding that media and sports are intertwined. That the name on the jersey can be more important than the logo above it. That fame isn't enough. You need to own your platform. And that's what makes this so dangerous for the NFL. They built an empire off the idea that the league is the star. But now a player, still in college, no less, is proving that he can be the star and the business. It's a total shift in the way athletes think. And that shift? It's irreversible. Because once you realize that you can monetize yourself, not as a pawn in the system, but as a full-fledged business entity, you don't go back. You don't wait for the league to offer you 5% of something when you can own 100% of your own. And Shedeur's not the only one thinking like this. You've got rookies coming in who've been watching creators and streamers make millions. They understand engagement. They understand personal branding. And they understand that fans will follow them, not just the jersey they wear. That's the nightmare scenario for the NFL. What if the players become bigger than the teams? What if a guy can get cut from a roster and still have more revenue coming in from his brand than he ever did from his contract? What if players stop seeing the league as the goal and start seeing it as just another platform? That's where we're headed. And unless the NFL starts adapting, offering real partnerships, equity options, flexible licensing, it's going to lose its grip. Because the myth that the league makes the star, it's fading. And Shedeur just proved the opposite is true. Now let's not get it twisted. He's still chasing greatness on the field. This isn't a business over ball situation. The man can play. But the brilliance is that he's not waiting for someone else to define his value. He's defining it himself. Because we're just getting started. And honestly, that's the scariest thing you can do to a system built on control. Because when players start seeing themselves as owners, the entire dynamic shifts. And when enough players follow suit, the league can't stop it. The contracts change. The power structure flips. The economy of sports becomes player-centric. And the NFL? It'll have two choices, evolve or get left behind. So, to sum it all up, Shedeur Sanders didn't just sign a deal. He started a movement. He took everything the league didn't want players to realize, that they are the product, that they have power, that ownership matters, and put it front and center for the world to see. And the message is clear. The old rules are done. The athletes are not just here to play. They're here to build empires. So now the question is, who's next? And how long before the NFL realizes that it's not just hosting the game anymore, it's hosting the revolution? What do you think? Are we witnessing the beginning of a new sports economy, where athletes run the show and own the merch, and the league is just along for the ride? Drop your takes in the comments below. And if you're living for this kind of chaos, the power shifts, the game-changing deals, the institutions trying to play catch-up, hit that subscribe button. While NFL execs are holding crisis meetings and drafting emergency memos, Shedeur Sanders is already 5 steps ahead, running a masterclass in modern athlete dominance. You'd think this kind of move would slow him down, have him ducking media questions and swatting away distractions. But no, he's unbothered, calm, and entirely in control. That's what makes this power play so dangerous to the league's foundation. He's not trying to disrupt the system out of anger or rebellion. He's doing it because it makes sense. And that's what should really scare the NFL. Because this isn't a protest. This isn't some flashy stunt. It's a business decision. One that just exposed the league's most vulnerable blind spot, the illusion of control. For decades, the NFL has controlled the narrative around athlete value. It controlled the cameras, the jerseys, the licensing, the broadcasts. You wanted to get rich? You played the game, kept your head down, maybe secured a few shoe deals, and hoped for a long enough career to cash out. Now, Shedeur just proved you don't have to wait. He didn't ask for a seat at the table. He built the table, hired the staff, and printed his own invitations. And here's the part that really twists the knife for the league. This isn't just a victory for Shedeur. This is a blueprint. The Shedeur model is scalable. It's replicable. And it's about to go viral. Because in the age of NIL, digital branding, and direct-to-consumer platforms, athletes no longer need gatekeepers. The rise of social media gave them the microphone. Now e-commerce and content ownership are giving them the megaphone. Shedeur didn't just play quarterback. He quarterbacked a business revolution. And it's not limited to football. This move has every major sports league sweating. NBA, MLB, NCAA, they're all watching this unfold, realizing the same uncomfortable truth. The era of centralized control is crumbling. The athletes are no longer waiting to be chosen. They're choosing themselves. Think about the old system. You grind through youth leagues, AAU, high school, college, just to maybe get drafted. Then you spend your prime years under rigid contracts, locked into brand deals negotiated by people who don't even play the sport. You're valuable, but not valued. You're the face, but not the owner. That model ends now. Shedeur's move is the wrecking ball through that outdated structure. And not out of spite, but out of strategy. It's smart. It's savvy. It's scalable. And it's catching fire. Already, young athletes are flipping their social media bios from future NFL star to founder and CEO. Kids are skipping college visits to attend e-commerce conferences. Agents are getting calls they've never heard before. Hey, can you help me set up a fulfillment center? This is the cultural shift in real time. And the league can't outrun it. They might try to tighten contracts. They might push back with regulations. But the toothpaste is out of the tube, and it's all branded with custom fonts and pre-order links. The NFL has spent decades selling the shield, the idea that the league itself is bigger than any individual. The teams, the history, the logo, that's what matters. But Shedeur just flipped that logic. Now the player is the brand. And the league? It's just one of many platforms he can use to scale it. And let's be honest, the league helped create this monster. The NFL is a marketing machine. It turns athletes into icons. It turns games into national holidays. It turns moments into memes. And now, that same machinery is being reverse-engineered by players who know how to use it for themselves. The question isn't whether the NFL survives this shift. It will. But it won't be the same. Because the illusion of total control is gone. The athletes have options. And that's new. For Shedeur, this deal isn't just about money. It's about leverage. He's entering the NFL draft process not as a hopeful prospect, but as a partner with leverage. He doesn't need to smile for the camera and play nice. He's not begging for a chance. He brings value with him, already proven, already profitable, which flips the entire rookie dynamic on its head. Traditionally, rookies show up with nothing but potential. The league takes them, molds them, markets them, owns them. But Shedeur will show up with assets, a business, a loyal audience, an infrastructure. He won't be playing the game. He'll be licensing his involvement in it. And once one player does that, others follow. The smart ones already are. There's a new generation of athletes watching this unfold with laser focus. High school juniors mapping out 5-year brand strategies. College sophomores investing in LLCs instead of chains. Athletes learning contracts before they learn route trees. And the old guard? They're about to learn just how quickly a dynasty can get dethroned. Because when ownership enters the chat, everything changes. When players start asking, what's my cut of this broadcast, instead of, am I starting this week? That's the shift. When a jersey number isn't just a number, it's a trademarked asset. That's the shift. When highlight reels are monetized by the player, not the league, that's the shift. And it's not theoretical anymore. It's happening. The NFL is watching its once invisible machine get exposed. The gears are rusty. The controls are old. And the people running it? They don't know how to fight this new wave. Because how do you outmaneuver someone who doesn't need your approval? How do you control a player who's already financially independent? How do you market a brand you don't own? Spoiler, you don't. You partner, or you get replaced. And that's the crossroads the league is staring down right now. Evolve or crumble. It's that simple. And to think, it all started with a jersey. A jersey that didn't go through the league's merchandising pipeline. That didn't sit in an NFL store waiting for someone else to take a cut. That went straight to the consumer, straight to the fans, straight to Shedeur. And the profits? Straight to his bank. That's what a power move looks like. Not because it broke records, but because it broke protocol. And now the floodgates are open. So the question is, are we looking at the next face of a league? Or the last player who ever lets the league own his face? Either way, one thing's clear. Shedeur Sanders didn't just sign a deal. He sparked a revolution. And the NFL? It's running out of time to catch up. Let's get one thing clear. This wasn't accidental. This was orchestrated, engineered. From the moment Shedeur stepped into the spotlight, you could tell he wasn't here to follow the rules. He was here to rewrite them. This deal didn't materialize out of thin air. It was a culmination of years of careful branding, smart media moves, and an unapologetic refusal to play small. And now he's the blueprint. Not just for quarterbacks. Not just for football players. For every rising athlete with ambition, a phone, and a little bit of vision. And the NFL? They don't have a response. They've built entire departments around controlling narratives. Media teams, branding arms, PR consultants, designed to keep the spotlight where the league wants it. But none of that matters when the athlete is the narrative. When he controls the story, owns the platform, and monetizes the moment. That's the magic of the Shedeur model. He doesn't need a network. He is the network. He doesn't need ESPN to run his highlights. He posts them himself, packages them in premium content, and sells ad space around his own face. This is vertical integration for athletes. Total control, top to bottom. Let that sink in. Because it's not just disruptive, it's revolutionary. The old model said, perform well, and the league will reward you. The new model says, perform well enough and monetize everything. Your name, your journey, your hustle, your story. It's all product now. But here's the difference. Shedeur owns the shelf it sits on. And the ripple effects? Oh, they're massive. Recruiters are reporting high school athletes showing up with pitch decks. College stars are building content teams before they even choose a major. Athletes are skipping endorsement deals and launching their own apparel labels. Because why take 5% of a brand deal when you can own 100% of your own? This isn't ego, it's education. And that's the piece the NFL truly wasn't ready for. They knew NIL was going to change things. They just didn't realize how fast these young players would figure it out. They underestimated the intelligence, the strategy, the sheer business acumen of this next wave. They thought branding was just about photo shoots and slogans. Nope. It's about equity. And Shedeur Sanders just made that crystal clear. This man isn't selling merch, he's selling a movement. And fans are lining up to buy it. The numbers don't lie. His jersey drop moved units like a pop star on tour. And this isn't a post-Super Bowl MVP situation. He's still in college, still building, still rising, and already out-earning some NFL veterans purely off brand engagement. That's insane. And it forces us to rethink value. Is value still tied to performance? Or is it tied to presence? Because Shedeur has both, and that's a dangerous combination. He's not just a highlight machine. He's a content engine. Every practice, every game, every moment off the field. It's all part of a larger brand architecture. There's a storyline, a vibe, a culture. He's not just playing football. He's building a world around himself. And fans? They don't just want to watch, they want to belong. That's the core of this movement. It's not just about money or clout or shaking up the status quo. It's about control, ownership, community. Shedeur is giving athletes permission to own their own story, and fans a front row seat to the empire in progress. That's what the league doesn't understand. Or maybe does understand. And that's why they're so uncomfortable. Because this isn't just a rogue athlete with a big deal. This is an entire generation waking up. Waking up to the idea that they don't have to just perform. They can profit. That the game isn't just played on Sundays. It's played on Shopify, on TikTok, on YouTube, in DMs, through pre-orders and collabs and content strategy. And in that game, Shedeur is undefeated. The NFL can't compete with that. Not on his turf. Not in his arena. Not when he's controlling every variable. And here's the twist. It didn't take a team of 100 to pull this off. Just a few sharp minds. A clear vision. A willingness to bet on himself. That's the future. Self-sufficient, brand-owning, digitally native athletes who can turn a moment into a movement. And it's not going away. The league can try to delay it, try to regulate it, try to buy it, license it, or bury it in paperwork. But they can't stop it, because they don't own the players anymore. Not the way they used to. Shedeur's deal is proof of that. He's not waiting for a rookie salary to define his worth. He's not asking permission to be great. He's walking in with his own valuation, and so far, the market says he's worth every penny. So what now? Now, the NFL has a choice. Embrace the shift. Work with these players. Build systems that support athlete ownership. Offer real partnership, not just patronage. Or double down on the old model and get steamrolled by the inevitable. Because this isn't just Shedeur's story. He's the first, but he won't be the last. You're going to see more players securing content rights, launching branded platforms, negotiating apparel deals with equity baked in from day one. You're going to see athletes treating their careers like tech startups. The era of just an athlete is officially over. And you know what? It's about time. For too long, athletes have been the product and the advertising, and still only got a sliver of the pie. Shedeur just proved they can bake their own. He didn't disrupt the NFL to be rebellious. He did it because he saw an opening. And like any great quarterback, he took the shot. Now the league is reeling. And the rest of us? We're just watching the highlight reel play out. Because this wasn't just a business win. This was a cultural detonation. So what do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders the prototype for a new breed of athlete entrepreneurs? Is this the beginning of the end for the old sports economy? Or can the NFL adapt before it loses the locker room to LinkedIn and limited edition drops? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't hold back. And if you want more deep dives into the chaos where fame, money, and power collide, smash that subscribe button. Because the future of sports? It's not about playing the game. It's about owning it.